Have you ever found yourself just completely sucked into watching a seemingly petty celebrity feud unfold online?
Oh, all the time. Like constantly.
Right. You're scrolling through your feed on a Tuesday and you're chuckling at comedians throwing shade at each other. And you just assume, oh, it's massive egos clashing.
Yeah, just standard showbiz gossip.
Exactly. Just people trying to get engagement. But then, months later, the actual news breaks. And you look back and realize you weren't watching a petty feud at all.
No, not even a little bit.
You were actually watching a massive, dark scandal hiding right in plain sight.
It really is the ultimate double take, isn't it? Like, you realize the punchlines you were just laughing at on your phone were actually blaring warning signs.
Yes, blaring warning signs. And that is exactly what we're looking at today for this deep dive, because we have a really fascinating breakdown in front of us that connects the dots between what seemed like, chaotic, viral comedy interviews from Katt Williams.
The Club Shay ones, yeah.
Right, those exact ones, connecting those to the very real, very sweeping federal indictment against Sean Diddy Combs.
Which is just a massive leap from a comedy podcast to federal court.
It is. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly how stand-up comedy jabs functioned as a hidden, highly accurate roadmap to a huge federal investigation.
Yeah, a literal roadmap.
We're going to explore this intricate web of influence, the alleged blackmail, and the really deep pocket funding that supposedly ties massive A-list celebrities to this entire legal battle.
It's a huge web.
It really is. Okay, let's unpack this, because while the names we are talking about today are incredibly famous, household names, it's the underlying mechanics of power here that we really need to dissect.
Absolutely. And we absolutely must establish the gravity of what we are looking at right from the top.
Yeah.
Because we are unpacking some incredibly explosive allegations today.
Yeah, really heavy stuff.
We're talking involving massive names like Jay-Z, Tyler Perry, T.D. Jakes. But to be crystal clear for you listening at home, we are strictly analyzing the claims, the court documents, and the timelines as they've been presented in the sources.
Right. We're just looking at the source material.
Exactly. We are looking at how these connections are being drawn and the legal framework surrounding them. We aren't here to hand down verdicts, We are here to dissect the architecture of the allegations.
Right. The architecture. I like that word. Because to understand who is involved, we first have to understand how the truth started leaking out in the first place.
Right, how the dam broke.
Yeah, and the real-world legal explosion that ended up validating all those leaks. And it all starts with Katt Williams. He went on the Club Shay podcast and explicitly claimed that he had mathematically figured out the quote-unquote algorithm to expose people in the entertainment industry.
Right, and his method was highly specific, which is what makes it so fascinating to look back on now.
Yeah, he was very intentional.
Very. He stated that instead of delivering career-ending knockout blows in his comedy, he erased those. He intentionally just left jabs. Just little jabs, because the strategy was entirely psychological.
Yeah.
He wanted the specific targets he was talking about to hear a joke and realize, with a cold sweat, oh my God, he knows my real story.
It makes me think of a hacker who breaches a highly secure $1 million server system, but instead of stealing all the files and burning the server down...
Right, instead of destroying it.
Yeah, instead of destroying it, they just leave a little digital sticky note on the desktop that just says, I was here.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. It's a massive flex.
It's a huge flex, but it's also terrifying proof of access. He was planting clues. But for a long time, Katt Williams was just dismissed by a lot of people as erratic. People just wrote him off.
They thought he was just ranting.
Exactly, until March 2024. Because that is when the federal agents actually raided Sean Combs' homes in Los Angeles and Miami. And the details of those raids, they are intense.
Very intense.
We are talking about 30 different law enforcement vehicles, tactical SWAT teams, 3 armored Bearcats rolling up to the properties.
What's fascinating here is the stark contrast between the militarized, heavy-duty exterior of that raid and what they were actually looking for inside.
Right, because it wasn't a normal drug bust.
Not at all. When you look at standard law enforcement procedure, you aren't making a dynamic armored entry like that unless there's a hostage situation or a major physical threat.
Right.
The tactical response was deployed because they knew there would be heavily armed security on site. But the real target inside wasn't a physical person or a physical weapon. They were tearing apart drywall. They were cutting open couch cushions to find digital evidence.
Which feels so meticulous, right? I have to wonder, if the authorities knew Diddy had armed security, why were they spending hours and hours tearing apart drywall instead of just, securing the perimeter, making the arrests and leaving?
Well, because the true power of this empire, at least according to the September federal indictment, it wasn't physical force. It was digital collateral. They were hinting for flash drives, hard drives, and hidden cameras. The indictment lays out severe charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and transportation. And it's all centered entirely around these highly organized, electronically recorded events that they called freak-offs.
The freak-offs. Yeah, that's a term we've been hearing a lot.
Right. Victims were allegedly coerced into participating, and the hidden recordings of these acts were kept in physical vaults. It's a mechanism for maintaining absolute control over people.
Right, because of the leverage.
Exactly. Think about it. If you have someone's darkest, most illegal, or most compromising moment on tape, you don't need to physically threaten them at all.
You own them.
You completely own them. You can dictate their physical appearance, you can monitor their whereabouts, and you ensure their utter silence forever.
And there's a specific allegation that Diddy had hidden cameras collecting evidence on A-list celebrities attending these parties too.
Yes, the celebrity aspect is huge.
Imagine you are a major star hoping your presence wouldn't be revealed. Whether you were just, cheating on a spouse or engaged in other highly illicit acts, the threat of those specific tapes dropping is the ultimate currency in Hollywood.
It's the only currency that matters at that level.
Exactly. And once you understand that financial leverage and hidden cameras were the currency, it completely shifts how you view the entire infrastructure of influence in Hollywood.
It really does. It changes the whole lens.
It explains why so many seemingly unrelated entertainers, people you wouldn't normally associate with a rap mogul, are deeply connected to Diddy's empire.
Right.
And this naturally brings us to how these careers get funded in the first place. Let's look at Tyler Perry.
Okay, yes. When you look at the early days of Perry's massive, billion-dollar success, there are strong alleged ties to Diddy's Bad Boy team.
Really early on.
Very early. When Perry was working on his first indie scripts, movies like Diary of a Mad Black Woman and Medea's Family Reunion, Bad Boy effectively functioned as his venture capital.
Wow. I didn't realize they were involved that early.
Oh yeah. They supposedly stepped in to help fund his debut movies. They arranged the massive VIP premieres in LA and New York, and they populated the red carpets with their stars.
Which is huge.
In Hollywood, that kind of launch pad is everything. It's not just the money. It's the machinery of relevance.
Right, the machinery. And Katt Williams zeroed right in on Tyler Perry during his interviews. He compared their career trajectories using a very specific, almost bizarre detail. He pointed out that they both bought military bases.
Oh, right, the bases.
Yeah. Tyler Perry bought Fort McPherson in Georgia to turn into his massive movie studio, and Katt Williams bought Fort McClellan in Alabama. And Katt says he bought his just because he follows instructions well and saw someone else do a good job.
Which is such a Katt Williams thing to say.
Totally. But then Katt pivots, and he uses that exact comparison to attack Perry's constant cross-dressing in his films.
Right, the Medea character.
Exactly. Katt points out that the only other black men he can think of with that level of wealth and success in movies, he names Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson. He says they never had to put on a dress to get their funding.
And the implication being drawn there is that wearing a dress or engaging in certain public behaviors is a ritualistic requirement or even a form of humiliation.
Right.
Something required to unlock that level of elite industry funding. And it goes beyond just wardrobe choices on set. There's an incredibly revealing claim in the breakdown that Tyler Perry actually told male actors not to consort with him if they had attended a Diddy party and had a, quote, glorious time.
Okay, so wait, what does this all mean? I actually want to push back a little here just to play devil's advocate.
Sure, go ahead.
Think about how venture capital works in Silicon Valley, right? A powerful investor gives you money, introduces you to the right people, and helps you scale your business.
Yes, standard networking.
Right. So is taking funding from a powerful music executive inherently sinister? Or is this just how Hollywood works? People network, people invest in promising talent. It just seems like business.
Well, that is exactly the defense many industry insiders would use.
Correct.
That it's just the nature of venture capital and entertainment. You need a kingmaker to become a king.
Exactly.
However, if we connect this to the bigger picture painted by the federal indictments, we aren't just looking at normal networking anymore.
Okay, how so?
We are looking at an alleged systematic blueprint where early financial backing in critical distribution deals were inextricably linked to participating in, or at least turning a blind eye to, a deeply dark underbelly of the industry.
Oh, I see.
It wasn't just a business transaction. The argument is that it was a fundamental compromise of integrity. You don't just get the money, you get the compromised ecosystem that comes attached to it.
Which explains how that blueprint applied to other comedians, too. Like, look at Ricky Smiley and Kevin Hart.
Right, let's talk about them.
With Ricky Smiley, his rise to stardom, his massive radio gigs, and his hit TV show reportedly happened because he networked his way in at Diddy's private, invite-only Atlanta parties.
Those parties were legendary for networking.
Right, and Puffy's crew strictly controlled the guest list, but Smiley got on it. And Katt Williams jabbed at Smiley, too, saying he only truly shines when he is in a dress. Again, hammering home that implication that his success was granted through this specific compromised pipeline.
And then there is Kevin Hart, who is described outright in this breakdown as an industry plant.
An industry plant, that's a loaded term.
It is. Now, to understand that term in this context, you have to understand the mechanics of comedy distribution. Hart's breakout movies, things like Ride Along and Night School, allegedly only moved forward after passing through Diddy's circle.
Really? I didn't know Bad Boy was involved in those.
Yeah, you can find Puffy's venture arm in the credits or acting as executive producers. And Hart's stand-up specials conveniently landed on platforms where Bad Boy had heavy distribution leverage. It's a vertically integrated system. Bad Boy doesn't just make the music. They control the comedy pipeline, too.
And this is where Katt Williams' claim about turning down $50 million comes in?
Yes. The $50 million.
He stated he turned down $50 million 4 separate times, and he implies he did it to protect his integrity. And he bluntly alleges that Kevin Hart is the one who took that money, compromising himself in the process.
Right.
And there is some deeply uncomfortable audio regarding Kevin Hart and Justin Bieber that really, it really hammers home the strangeness of these elite circles.
Yes, there is. There was an interview where Kevin Hart is caught making a joke about waking up next to a 10-year-old Justin Bieber.
It's just so unsettling.
It is. And in the audio, Hart suddenly realizes how terrible it sounds. He literally says, pause. And he scrambles to change the story to say they used to, fight and wrestle over Frosted Flakes.
Right.
It's brought up as a glaring example of the uncomfortable, giggling normalization of things that should be setting off massive blaring alarm bells.
It is wild to even hear that audio described. You have grown men just laughing on a microphone about something so objectively alarming.
It really shows the culture of it all.
It does. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because it would be so easy for you or me to just dismiss all of this if it was just actors and comedians chasing fame.
Right. Hollywood has always been messy.
Hollywood has always been messy. But this web of influence extended far beyond Hollywood. It infiltrated safe spaces, charities, religious institutions.
And this is a crucial pivot in understanding how power operates at this elite level.
Yeah.
We're moving from mere entertainment to the aggressive acquisition of public legitimacy.
Public legitimacy.
Yes. Take Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer. On the surface, Katt Williams accused them of stealing jokes in TV show formats.
Right. Typical comedy beef.
Exactly. But the deeper connection highlighted in the source is that both of those men have prominently hosted Bad Boy-funded charity galas. They helped raise millions for education and youth outreach.
Which is brilliant, but it is absolutely terrifying. Think about it. You are using youth charity galas as a shield.
A literal shield.
You have these beloved, trusted comedians standing on stage, thanking Diddy, smiling in fancy suits, handing out giant checks. It gives you an inside look at a network of influence that the average viewer at home just never sees.
Exactly. By embedding himself in philanthropy, Diddy was aggressively purchasing public goodwill. When you are a pillar of the community, nobody thinks to look in your basement.
Wow.
And this strategy went even further. It went straight into the church. There are details in the breakdown of Bishop T.D. Jakes, a globally recognized pastor, preaching at a massive gospel concert that was entirely sponsored by Diddy's team.
Right, and picture this scene for a second. It's a gospel concert. It's supposed to be about faith, but it looks exactly like a rap album launch.
Complete with a red carpet.
Yes. There are platinum seating tiers, velvet VIP ropes, press walls. And sitting right behind the hymns and the sermons are music executives and influencers handpicked by Bad Boy's PR squad. It is this surreal fusion of pop culture and faith.
And the allegations don't stop at the concerts. There are claims in the source that T.D. Jakes is active on the dating app Grindr,
Right.
describing him as a much older man who is, quote, very enthusiastic in his endeavors.
Man.
The underlying mechanism here is that these promotions fused pop culture and faith under one dark, twisted umbrella. It made Diddy completely indispensable to community leaders.
Indispensable.
Yes, because if you are deeply intertwined with beloved charities and high-profile religious figures, it becomes incredibly difficult for anyone to call out your alleged deviance without risking taking down those revered institutions in the process.
Because the blast radius would just be too big.
Exactly.
You'd be destroying the local youth center and the megachurch just to get to the music executive.
It's essentially using charities as hostages.
It's staggering, and the reach is just staggering. We are even talking about massive music industry figures, like Universal music boss Lucian Grange, who allegedly had some awareness or control over Diddy's operations, though it's noted his name was later dropped from some of the context in the suit.
Right, the legal filings keep shifting.
Yeah. There's even a mention of Taylor Swift in the material, noting that her career trajectory shifted massively after she began rubbing shoulders with P. Diddy early on.
It really touched every corner of the industry.
It did. But eventually, the PR shields, the charity galas, the blackmail tapes, they all failed. And that brings us to the devastating court filings that are making headlines right now ahead of the May 2025 trial.
The legal machinery has fully taken over. We are no longer just looking at comedian feuds or internet blind items.
Yeah.
We are looking at federal indictments and civil suits backed by sworn statements. The digital sticky notes you mentioned earlier, they have become federal exhibits.
Federal exhibits. And the allegations are some of the darkest things you can possibly imagine. Like, look at the December civil suit involving Jay-Z.
Yes, that one is deeply disturbing.
There is an amended lawsuit where a woman claims that in the year 2000, when she was just a 13-year-old girl, she attended an MTV Video Music Awards after party.
13 years old.
13. And she alleges that she was drugged and raped by Jay-Z while P. Diddy and an unnamed female celebrity watched, and then she was allegedly raped by Diddy as well.
The severity of that allegation just cannot be overstated.
Yeah.
And it is part of a much wider, terrifying net. Diddy's own son, Justin Combs, was indicted alongside his father.
Right.
In fact, he was handcuffed during that initial raid we talked about. So he faced no charges at that exact moment. Now, he is accused of organizing these freak-off parties with underage girls.
There is an incredibly grim analogy used in the source to describe this. They compare Diddy and Justin to LeBron and Bronny James. Yeah. But instead of being the first father-son duo to play together in the NBA, they are framed as the first father and son headed to federal prison together.
That is a dark comparison.
It is, and it's not just the two of them. There are 120 people named in the indictment, including 25 minors.
The scale is industrial. It's literally a factory of exploitation.
It is.
And when an illicit operation is that massive, maintaining the silence of over 100 people requires active, desperate measures. This raises an important question. How does an empire like that try to stop the dam from breaking once the federal government gets involved?
Right, because you can't just throw money at the feds.
Exactly. You can't just rely on VIP passes anymore. Look at how they allegedly handled witnesses. There's the case of Kenna Harper.
Yes, Kenna Harper. She's a former Bad Boy singer, and she was a key witness to violence against Diddy's ex, Cassie Ventura.
Right.
And after another lawsuit was filed by Don Richard, the pressure mounted. Diddy allegedly bombarded Kenna Harper with over 50 calls in a single day.
50 calls.
In total, he reached out 128 times over 4 days.
Prosecutors state that these calls were blatant, aggressive attempts to sway her testimony. It was part of a broader pattern of trying to gaslight and manipulate witnesses before they could talk to the feds.
Wait, 128 calls in 4 days to a single witness.
That is what the documents allege.
That's not just nervously checking in. That paints a picture of absolute desperation. It is frantic.
It is frantic, but it is also highly revealing of the exact mechanics we discussed earlier. Those 128 phone calls perfectly illustrate what racketeering looks like in practice.
What do you mean?
Racketeering isn't just committing a crime, it's running an enterprise through coercion and intimidation. Those calls show a real-time attempt to maintain the exact kind of control that built the empire in the first place.
Oh, I see.
This isn't just celebrity gossip anymore. This is a textbook example of severe federal witness tampering. When the digital blackmail and the PR goodwill aren't enough to stop a witness from testifying, the coercion becomes overt, aggressive, and highly illegal.
It is just a stunning collapse to witness. And when you step back and look at this entire journey we've just been on, it is almost hard to believe.
That's like a movie script.
It really is. What began as a comedian on a podcast making, cryptic mathematical jokes about who wore a dress and who stole whose TV show ideas, it wasn't just rambling.
Yep.
It wasn't just ego. It was actually a highly calculated, legally aligned roadmap. Katt Williams was exposing a sprawling network of influence, alleged abuse, and federal indictments long before the SWAT teams ever arrived.
The alignment between the specific names he dropped in those comedy interviews and the names now appearing in federal court documents is clearly not a coincidence.
Not at all.
It is a roadmap that was hiding in plain sight, waiting for the legal system to catch up to the punchlines.
It really leaves you with a chilling thought to mull over. If a stand-up comedian knew all of these intricate, highly guarded secrets well enough to leave mathematical clues for the public, what does that say about the rest of the industry?
That's the real question.
Think about the hundreds of agents, managers, publicists, and executives who have operated in the entertainment industry for the last 3 decades.
The people in the offices.
Right. The people who handle the schedules, book the flights, and draft the non-disclosure agreements. Are there other massive open secrets currently hiding in plain sight?
Almost certainly.
Are we just waiting for the right punchline to bring the next one down? You really have to wonder. The next time you find yourself sucked into a petty celebrity feud online, are you really just watching a feud, or are you watching the first crack in the next digital sticky note?